So we are diving into the topics of dating and marriage, and we have already started on dating, and now we're going to start with the topic of marriage. And I have three couples here with me that I absolutely love and respect. And we have 13 years of marriage, 38 and 39 years of marriage represented. And I am just so excited to hear what is about to come out. So we're going to start off with the question of what is the best piece of marriage advice that you have ever received?
Okay, so I think there's a couple pieces to this. I think obviously one big piece of marriage advice that I've received came directly from the scriptures, and that is, do not let the sun go down while you're still angry. And so early on, we decided we're going to settle our differences before it gets late and before we have to go to bed. Now, it doesn't always happen where you can do that, but we at least are going to go to bed with both of us on our minds with no ought against each other. Nothing that we're holding over each other's heads, and a clean slate in the morning. So, but if as best we can, we try to work things out before the sun goes down, before we go to bed. And it has led to some 4 a.m. in the morning conversations, but it's always blessed our marriage in the long run because we've taken care to maintenance the things that needed fixing. But the other thing I think that we learned is that we married wrong. And as weird of a relationship advice as that is, it actually saved a lot for our marriage and helped us out a lot. It came, I guess, at a point of breaking, and I think that's where this book comes in. I found this book you can hold it up there. I found this book on Robert's desk one day during a meeting, and Robert Russell, and I grabbed it and I asked him if I could take it and read it. And I brought it home. I don't even think I didn't read it, right? You read it first. Yeah. And well, you keep going because you know better than I do, Bob.
Well, we were just at just a point in our marriage where we were very nitpicky with each other and getting into arguments, and just we were in you can get in cycles of good behavior and cycles of bad behavior, and I think with any close relationship it's easy to get into those places.
Positive feedback loops,
Yes.
And then you have negative feedback loops.
Yes. And we were in a negative space, and this was around that time where we had that there was an article we stumbled across that was like everyone marries wrong because what's wrong is in us. Like we are inherently wrong. And when you have that realization, it really
because
shifts.
then you're not looking for the other, on the other side of the fence. You're not looking. The grass is
Right.
not greener on the other side. It's
Yes.
greener because it got watered, right?
Yes.
Like, so you basically start bringing it back to your own yard, and you're thinking, well, we need to water our garden, and maybe then it will start to grow a little bit better. And that brought us to this book.
And this book, I think, helped redefine and reshape our mentality about ourselves and our brokenness. And this book is called The Breaking of the Outer Man and the Release of the Spirit. And it just elaborates on, like, how the woman broke the alabaster jar at Jesus' feet and the oil was poured out. And so much of our life, it's through the brokenness that the oil and the goodness of what God has for us is able to come out. So those two things, I think, really were a pivotal point in our marriage.
It's hard to narrow it down to just one thing. And I don't know that it was really advice, but what I have learned is that you have to give the other one the benefit of the doubt. Don't assume you know what's going on behind the other one's forehead, because you don't. God knows. We're not wise enough to figure out others' motives, and so give each other the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I can say, and someone said it to us, but it sounds so simple, but if you are living close to the Lord, your chances that you would get in trouble. Now, I have to be very careful because I know it doesn't work for everybody. But if you live close to the Lord, you pray together, you do devotions together, is makes you exponentially less likely to get into a divorce. I think Barna studies have proven that. You know, if you listen to the general statistics, half of marriages fail, and it's no different in the church than in the people outside of church. But if you break it really down to people that are regular churchgoers, meaning every week, praying every day, really, I can't remember the exact number, but it's far better than what the general population believe.
I would say probably one of the best pieces of marriage advice Brad and I were given. It was actually on our wedding day. Miss Mabel Bowen was her name. She was about 85 years old. And she came up to us. She was the cutest little thing. And she said, "You guys need to talk to each other and you need to make your decisions together." She said, because nobody else out here is going to take care of your business, your personal relationship with each other. She said, so communicate with each other, talk to each other, make your decisions together. And we were like, that is really good advice. And that set us on a course of communication. Now, the communication might be different opinions. You know, we may have different ideas about something, but we're communicating. And that's one of the things that we have always done. And in our communication, it's not just me sharing what I think and Brad sharing what he thinks, but we're also like, you know, okay, where's the Lord in this? You know, I mean, I've got my thoughts, you've got your thoughts, and what is Jesus saying about this? You know, and it might not even be when we stop and just really pray about it. It may not even be what either one of us thought. He'll bring something to us together. So that was one of the best pieces of advice that we have ever been given.
I was just going to add something to the communication part. I have learned through the years that you need to have clarity in your communication. Don't assume you think you know your spouse,
Saying, yeah.
you know, and you sit there and go, but I went and got ice cream, and you go, I wanted tomato soup. I'm going, what? I didn't have a clue. But, you know, I mean, it is about clarity. And it's not about thinking, well, I think I know how she feels. Well, she may not feel that way today. So, you know, let's be clear today.
That's good.
Okay, so now what is the best piece of marriage advice that you can give?
The best piece of marriage advice I think that we can give is how you treat your spouse is actually how you would treat Jesus if he was here. So you should have the kindest words. You should have the sweetest demeanor. You should spend your greatest resources into your relationship with your spouse. They're your mirror, and in a way that no one else will ever be. They will tell you things about you that no one else will ever be able to tell about you because they won't know you that well. And so, just like Jesus knows you perfectly, your spouse will know you better than anyone else in this world. And what they have to say really does matter. And how you treat them. You can say that you love Jesus, you can say that you love God, but if you have not loved the person that you can see, who's most important to you, how are you going to love the person whom you have not seen? So I think this is a really big point. You need to take seriously your relationship. And if you have aught with your spouse, take the responsibility. If you're listening to this video, you take the responsibility and you make the effort and you put it in because you're the one hearing it. And the Lord's speaking to you right now. And because he wants a relationship with you that's real. And that's going to come from someone, and it's going to come through someone who knows you. You can be fake to anybody out on the street, and in some ways we treat them with much more respect and decency because we feel like we can be ourselves. But then think about that. You're being yourself with your spouse. Are you rude? Are you selfish? Are you angry? Are you out of control? I mean, those are the things that you need to really pray about and seek the Lord about. And so we take it pretty seriously, as far as advice goes. You want a better marriage, then start treating your spouse like Jesus.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. Easy in theory. Hard in practice.
Brad has actually looked at me and said, okay, I'm going to respond to you like Jesus is sitting right here on the couch. Because I think, in our flesh, we don't want to respond that way.
Also, I think it's important, and it sounds kind of very logical, not to have any secrets for each other. Because I believe, and I firmly believe, that even the smallest secret that you can think of, the evil one is operating in that realm of secrets, and to be open. If I mess up, to have the openness to share it with Marie, immediately it's as if there's complete relief and forgiveness, and it takes care of a sense of guilt. So I think we all mess up, and we all try to cover it up, thinking that that's the way to deal with it, but it is not.
I think one of the best pieces of advice that Brad and I could give to married couples is to continue to date. Dating is important. That's how you became a couple. You started dating. And a lot of times once people are married, the dating stops. I mean, children come, work comes, life happens, sickness, illness, all kinds of things can happen, and we lose sight of how we even fell in love with each other and the things we used to do for each other that brought us to love each other. And so we plan date nights all the time. We try to date, and of course we didn't have children in our home. We worked with youth groups and had children that we ministered to, but we set date nights. And so I would suggest even, children, no children, set those special nights, and they don't have to be expensive. I mean, you should see some of our date nights. And sometimes we just stay in and it's a date night. You don't even have to go out. But they are very, very important to us, very, very special to us. So.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that I use, and it plays on what you said, we've talked about, people always have said, keep Jesus in the center of your marriage, keep Jesus in the center of your marriage. Well, I play that on a different regard in that I look at it as though I've got to go through him to get to her. So whatever I got to say to her, I got to say to him. And I'm like, I'm not liking that. That's not cool when he's going, what was you going to say? I'm going, no, that's not me. And so we do that. We filter that with, whether that's finances or business, whatever that is, we go, why don't we wait on that a little bit, see what God shows us? We ain't got to do this in a hurry. We can ponder on it a little bit and get there. And so we do that. And one of the ground rules is when we make date night, unless Jesus comes back, nobody breaks date night. We don't answer the phone. We're not going to come see you. None of that, unless it's something very important. We're not going to be there.